set production. What do you want?
Obviously, Horribly Hooched with the wonderful, fantastic, sexy Hayley Derryberry, star and co-author of Rabid Love. We're going to ask her a few questions, have a little conversation. So, without further ado, I have to comment on your name. I feel that's a horrible way to initiate any conversation in any purview whatsoever, but
I thought we talked about this.
I know we talked about this, but Hayley Derryberry, that is your name, right?
Yes, it's on my birth certificate, yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Because I read that and I was like, either that is the most fantastic original name, or someone got a little bit tipsy when they went for their stage name. So, okay.
Yeah, that's what I grew up with, and I hated it growing up, of course, and I just couldn't wait to get married and change my name. And then when I started acting professionally, and so many people really liked it, so I just couldn't change it. And
Absolutely. No. I mean, that
stands out.
That is massively unique. I mean, Hayley Derryberry. It's one of those names that you won't confuse with anything else, and you're not likely to forget, especially associated with your brilliant performances.
Works out.
Well, some people have thought that it was a mistake trying to say Halle Berry, and it's Hayley.
That makes sense.
That's a big mistake, though. I mean,
there's a little bit. There's a slight contrast.
I feel like I'd have to be at the bottle of a few of these before I'm like, Halle Derryberry.
What are your drinks of choice? What do you guys have?
Well, right now I'm drinking champagne from the bottle because we started the day with mimosas, and I'm just an all-around classy gentleman.
I'm just rocking some beer. Today is a beer day for me. I just do some like Americana Miller Lite. That's what I felt like doing.
No.
It's a Saturday, man. And it's like I'd like to barbecue, but it's raining all over the place out here. But
it is raining all over the place out here.
I just found out you guys are in Van Nuys, and I'm close to you. I'm in Toluca Lake.
Oh, you're Toluca Lake. Oh, yeah. We haven't updated our location. We're actually close to Alexandra Boylan.
We're Culver City-ish.
Palms adjacent, yeah. And we're actually. Sorry.
You're gonna interview Alexandra?
Yep, tomorrow.
Yep.
Yay! I still haven't seen her since I got back into town.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
We just noticed. I didn't even realize it. Like, we did the review for Rabid Love, and then we did Horribly Hooched.
Home Sweet Home.
Home Sweet Home.
We've had a little bit to begin with.
We did Home Sweet Home and Rabid Love separate, and then we just rewatched Rabid Love, and we saw Alexandra and Raquel
at the very beginning,
and then the opening sequence. Yeah. That's pretty.
Yeah, they're friends of ours, and after we finished Rabid Love, Home Sweet Home was getting sold and ready to be released, and so we contacted them and thought it would be a nice cross promotion to use their cast, and we've known them for a long time, and it worked out great. They were so much fun to work with, and it was a shame because when we were shooting Rabid Love, it was summer, and we were in Kansas with really nice weather, and then we had to match that with them, but it was then winter in California, and so they had to freeze, and I felt bad. Poor Raquel in that tube top, and she was freezing.
It's not the most coverage that someone could hope for.
Yeah, per square body inch. I don't know if there's an actual. Is there an actual?
Yeah, and we got her bloody, and then she was even more cold because of the wet blood all over her. So
yeah,
it worked out in a few other departents.
Certainly brought a lot of fans. It did. It worked out.
Some attention paid in that regard. So let's transition off of that, and let's dive into Rabid Love a little bit. So it seemed like because you guys had such fantastic chemistry on screen, there must have been some hijinks going on set. I mean, you guys had to have had some crazy times, right?
It was really fun. We took over this insanely small town of about 130 people max, and then our crew was 30 people. So we were a large percentage of their entire town.
The overall population by a third.
Does that put them in a new tax bracket for you guys being there? Did that help out? Okay, all right, that works.
It brought a little bit of business into their town.
Certainly
in the alcohol.
That's what we do.
because we were buying lots of beer, and we had really good times because it was kind of like movie making summer camp. We were so isolated. It wasn't like you could escape. Like if you're shooting in LA, you can drive home on the weekend and be with your friends or whatever, but you couldn't here. We were all each other had. And we had a lot of fun. We played rock band. We watched movies. We went to the local watering hole, which was tiny. And yeah, it was really fun.
That's fantastic.
That's nice.
It really, I think having that isolation definitely showed through in the movie itself. I mean, I felt like I was watching a real group of friends as opposed to a bunch of stiff actors thrown into a random situation. So that was, I think, an awesome contributing factor to the overall situation. Did anything strange happen on set?
Define like strange as in.
We hear a lot. I don't know if it's just some bullshit that directors like to make up, but we hear a lot that there are odd goings on when you're filming a horror movie, whether it be strange things happening, things moving, something odd that adds to the ambiance.
Well, I think just being out in the middle of nowhere and in such darkness, like complete darkness, not like you get out in the city. A lot of people got freaked out pretty easily. We had a friend who swore he saw a clown in a window, kind of thing.
Really?
Fuck all that noise.
No,
But
fuck clowns. Fuck clowns.
Nah.
No,
Clowns and spiders. Nah, we ain't doing that.
Don't play that game.
Strange experience. My first night. The night before the very first day of shooting, I experienced my first ever sleep paralysis.
Ooh.
Have you guys ever experienced this?
Paralysis, yeah.
It is terrifying. It's really scary. And I found out after I researched it that it was from, just the stress. It was the night before shooting. I hadn't had enough sleep. And so basically it can only happen if you're lying on your back. And then basically you're kind of fall asleep, but you're still awake. And you're just like so tired, and it feels like there's someone sitting on top of you. And it feels like you can't get up, and it's terrifying.
Actually, I have experienced that all of my life. Total segue, and probably not pertinent to the review at all, but there's a painting circa 1650 of this demon sitting on a woman's chest as she's lying in bed and her arms sprawled out. And that's the first recorded instance of hypnagogic paralysis, which is something that is apparently so common that they actually made a movie around it called Shadow People. It's another horror flick based on a true story. And I myself, I don't suffer from it anymore, but I used to. It would freak my girlfriend out to no end. I mean, I'd be like, which, doesn't make sense.
That's what it feels like. It feels like you're trapped in your body and you cannot escape. But
I actually saw people. Like, I saw, figures and shit, which was super weird. That I think we got a little bit off course.
So I was gonna let the moment happen.
Yeah, well, no,
I've never experienced it. I have no idea. So it's like, really. It's like, let me go ahead and write a script for this.
Yeah, take a note.
So it's okay. So you co-wrote this, correct, and produced on this?
Yeah. It was my husband and I's project, and he did most of the actual. Well, he did all of the typing it in kind of thing, and then we would get together and discuss the story and putting the scenes in the right order and just hashing out the plot and everything.
So where did the original idea come from? What spawned this idea for you guys?
Well, for Paul got the idea. This thought, his original image was this thought of a woman holding a gun to the head of the man that she loves and having to kill him, and it having to be like an act of mercy killing him. Right. And that was his original idea 5 years ago for this. And then he told it to me, and I was like, Rabid Love. I was like, that's such a silly title, and I really hated the title at first, but then we kept it while we were developing it, and then it just became such a part of it that there was no way you could change the title by then. It was like, oh, it has to be
It's
Rabid
perfect.
Love.
You know,
Yeah.
you tie it in within the storyline, like Rabid Love makes sense with, with rabies and everything. It actually tied in very well, and it played out the way you guys wrote it and scripted together.
And what a powerful moment. I mean, when you've got the gun there, I mean, it's weird because I want to say that the villain, I mean, besides yourself, was the star of the show. I mean, his performance was just
He is amazing. He
Like,
is
Yeah,
just
seriously
solid.
had
Like,
us going like
Really well done. His
a mile a minute.
his monologue when he's sitting there and he's talking to, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on names because I've had enough of booze, but it's like when she was trapped in a bear trap and he's sitting there just talking about his experiment, his monologue, that was brilliant. He was
that's
really, really good in that.
a very talented Brandon Stacy, and it actually turned out being very lucky that he ended up in that role because he was one of our producers, and we had originally intended that role for a completely different actor, and it worked out with his schedule that he wasn't available, and so then we kind of killed the role. Brandon was going to play just this side role, kind of a red herring. And so we killed that role and brought him in as the main villain. And it was just, I couldn't imagine it any other way. It was amazing.
wonderful coincidence. I mean, seriously, thank God the other guy dropped out because he really brought the piece together. But
Very solid, very solid.
so what would you say would be if you had to name 3 movies in the horror genre, off the top of your head, what would you say would be the inspiration for Rabid Love?
Definitely Friday the 13th. Some very strong inspirations there. We were inspired too by my favorite horror movie of all time is Evil Dead 2, and so that was a big influence. And then we had The Burning. We got a lot of inspiration off of that one.
Okay.
And American Werewolf in London. Awesome.
Also,
Nice.
yeah, it's also a good song by Warren Zevon. Well, Werewolves in London. But
That's just, yeah.
all right. I mean, no, that's not 3 movies we hear very often. I mean, we've heard Friday the 13th a couple of times, but that's pretty wonderful. Okay, so you guys obviously have a huge background in the horror industry. Are you looking at any future projects? I know we talked briefly on Twitter about this, but
Yeah, I'm actually writing my very first screenplay. I just finished my first draft.
That's
Yeah, and I was like, and Paul's helping me, but Paul was like, for the first draft, he was like, I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to give you any advice. Just finish the first draft. Then I'll read it, and then we'll talk about what changes we can make. And so that was like a really huge accomplishment. It took me, I don't know, about 8 or 10 months to finish that first draft and hash it out.
not to do any kind of like spoilers. Well, where would it fit within? Because there's multiple genres within horror. Where would it fit, like category wise? Did you say?
That's actually what we're trying to
Anything?
decide. Yeah, we're trying to peg it more specifically. It's a little bit paranormal, so it feels like it should be a supernatural thriller. But I want to make it more fun because a lot of supernatural thrillers are really slow, and then you get your scares, and it's a lot of like mystery, figuring it out kind of thing. But I want it to be more fun than that, more like a horror movie. So I'm trying to find a kind of a balance between those two genres, because, and I know it's like nobody likes cross genres, and distributors don't want to hear cross genres.
It's figuring out, I guess, the balance between the two. That's the tricky part. It's like finding like the white buffalo. It's like, can these two things come together and actually make a beautiful thing, and can I actually catch that bastard?
Yeah.
It's tricky.
and that's the difficult thing too, is that you have to appeal not just to an audience but also to a distributor.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're looking at is their bottom line and what the unwashed masses will appreciate. But
Right.
we would appreciate something.
Well,
that
absolutely
line.
would be great. How long were you guys' production for shooting Rabid?
We shot for 6 weeks, I think, but we actually ended up finishing early, or maybe it was like 4 or 5 weeks. But we ended up finishing early because we had scheduled a lot of time for rain or whatever, and we didn't end up having those problems, so we ended up wrapping early. It's kind of nice.